Hey friend, what's up? So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly the cold email automation 101 based on the system that we're using to book meetings for our clients with firms like Airbus, Lockheed, and more. We've sent over 10 million cold emails so far, and I feel like I know something about the stuff. And in this video, I had Claude prepare a board that I'm going to present to you on the screen share based on all the things that we've set up and within Claude. So I'm using Claude to run my entire outbound thing, and I've basically distilled it down as to what we're actually doing step by step onto this board. I'll probably make this board available somehow, some way, so you guys can check it out for yourself. You just need to check out the link in the description. But let's get straight into it. How do you send 1,000+ cold emails a day without landing in spam? And the base principle behind this is you will not use your main domain, right? You will not just connect a bunch of inboxes to your main domain, let's say your Google, right? You won't connect Google inboxes to google.com and then send out 500, 1,000, 2,000 emails just on one singular email address. You're not going to do that. What you're going to do is something like this. So let me actually zoom in. So each of these boxes that you see in here represents one domain, and the three underneath represent three mailboxes, or represent three mailboxes. And that's your infrastructure, right? So you're going to set up a bunch of new domains, not subdomains, new domains that may sound similar to your main domain. So if you had google.com, for example, you could say try google.com as like one new domain that you're going to buy, right? And yes, this means you're going to buy domains. And when buying domains, there's one important thing. Well, that was not actually what I want to say, but there's one important thing. Do not cheap out on infrastructure. You cannot cheap out on infrastructure. You always need to buy proper domains. But let's actually cover this graph for a second so this gets clearer. So we have bought all these domains. Let's assume we just bought them, right? And we've connected all of these inboxes to each of these domains. As soon as we have this huge array of, in this case, 50 mailboxes sending 20 emails a day max each, which equates to 1,000 a day in total, right? We will take all of these inboxes and we will connect them to our sending platform. That could be Instantly, could be Smart Lead, could be Email Bison, could be Plus Vibe. There are a bunch of different email sending platforms. The main important thing is you need to connect all of them to that platform, because that's where we're going to run the campaigns from, and where we're also going to host the warm-up, which is a very important thing. And I'm going to get to the details as to like how we're doing it, how to set up the warm-up, etc. But let's assume we just warmed up all of these as well, right? Let's just keep this very simple, 101. I'm just going to tell you how we exactly do it, right? Assuming we have had perfect warm-up, we will then go ahead within that sending platform. We will get our prospect database, score and verify all the leads that we get, right? Meaning we look at all the prospect data that we have in any given CSV file, and then we analyze, well, which of these is actually a good fit for our target audience? Because we don't want to email people that we don't want to have as clients anyway. So we might as well pre-qualify so we're not wasting our sending capacity of 1,000 a day in this case on non-ICP fit prospects. And ICP means ideal customer profile, right? So if they're not a fit anyway, they don't fit your ideal customer profile criteria, we don't need to email them. So we can just save on that. We can get our campaigns more efficient just by scoring and verifying them before we actually reach out to them. But as soon as we have done that, we can go into the campaigns and we can set up 4 different campaigns. One campaign is going to contain all the email addresses of the people that we want to email that have a Google Workspace account. Other ones, Microsoft. Then other ones with security gateways such as Proofpoint, Barracuda, Mimecast, right? All of these different spam filters. And then everything else that we couldn't analyze for actual email MX records, which basically means what kind of email service provider they are using, right? So we have Google, Outlook, and spam filters, and then other, basically. And for each of these, we're gonna run the same offer that we're going to run in this campaign anyway, but with different types of copy, because sometimes most of the times Microsoft email addresses that we're emailing, right? We're emailing to Microsoft. It usually works better if the email is pretty short. So considering things like that, we'll need to split up this campaign into 4 so that we can then send out our properly written email scripts. And if you don't know how that works, I have a bunch of videos on that on my channel, check them out. But we use basic email copywriting, and then we get all of these emails to the people, which will get us replies, which will land in one shared inbox. So we have a bunch of inboxes right now, right? If you have a proper sending platform, they allow you to have a master inbox where all the responses will be gathered. So you're gonna check all the responses in there. You're gonna sort them into 5 buckets. Just to name a couple: interested, not like bad timing, or maybe out of office, maybe wrong person reached out to, right? Or just not interested in general. And depending on that, you will put them into the correct follow-up sequences so that you can get qualified meetings out of that, which will get you to paying clients once you have had successful sales calls. That's the entire process.
Hey friends, what's up? So quick announcement. So we have an offer where we basically set up this entire system that you're seeing right now, completely done for you, and you only pay per qualified call that we get onto your calendar, right? And you can get that right now via the first link in the description. And right now I'll also explain what you see on that page, the case studies, and how you can actually apply to see whether you qualify. Watch it right now.
And then we have a done for you offer. So if you can't be bothered to do any of this and you want someone to just run this stuff for you and then book calls onto your calendar, and you only pay per booked call, right? For your software company, we do this for software companies specifically. We've had banger case studies. AirPay, 120 plus opportunities generated in the last 60 days. Wild, right? 120 plus opportunities last 60 days. And then we have this logistics SaaS case study where we booked over 230 plus demos within 10 months. You can watch the full case study. It's 25 minutes here, 11 minutes here, 22 minutes here. We have a full explainer on how the offer actually works. And if you book a call, we'll have scripts and lists ready for you. So if you approve those lists and scripts, which we've written for you specifically, we can get started within 24 hours. If you pass, you can keep the scripts and lists and do with them whatever you will. This is the offer. You can start within 24 hours with unlimited scale and dedicated SDRs that are going to call every single lead that we generate and book them onto your calendar. Completely done for you. Yes. So let's get into the details. So the sending infrastructure. I'm just gonna we have a nice little list, and at the end there's like a summary as well, and you will get this document as well for your own files. But let's go through the step by step, and I'm just gonna yap around this so you have some context as to what that even means, like what the things on screen actually mean. So the sending infrastructure, separate domains, many small inboxes, and a reserve bench you never send from. Very important. Never send cold email from your real company domain. We just covered that. Very simple reason. In cold emailing, at some point, you will burn your domain because you're essentially cold email is the worst scenario for any given offer to perform in. Like ads are way more chill. People opt into ads. If you're on Facebook and you're scrolling, you just accepted the fact that there will be ads. But if you have an email address, you don't want to have people sending you offers. Which is why people are less receptive to cold emails, right? So that leads them to mark your emails potentially as spam. That's just going to happen. It's just even if you have the best email on planet Earth, some people are still going to do it. And then if you're not, if they're not going to do it, some email service provider like Google, for example, or Outlook is going to AI analyze all the emails that you're sending. At some point, they're going to flag your domain. So it's going to happen. So that's why you don't send out from your real company domain. That's very important. You buy separate sending domains. So then when buying separate sending domains, you only buy .com. I've tried .xyz, I've tried .info, I've tried .co, I've tried .info. I don't know if I mentioned that. I've tried a bunch. I wanted to save money as well. Yes, I get the struggle. .com, it just costs a lot of money, especially on scale. It's annoying. Yes, you still have to buy .com because one law, I feel like it said something else. But my one law, it's not this one. my one law, never cheap out on infrastructure. It doesn't work. What does this actually say? Never trade deliverability for volume. A system sending its full quota into the spam folder book 0 meetings. Yes. Never cheap out on infrastructure, because we can cheap out on deliverability, because if we don't have deliverability, volume won't matter. That's why I have this thought. But anyway, let's keep moving on. So you put 3 mailboxes onto each domain. You could also do 2. Just do 3. Just do 3. 101, just do 3. You don't cheat the system. Do 3. I've tested 4, 5, 6, etc. It doesn't work. 3. It works. All good. Then you need to set up some DNS records. This sounds geeky as hell, and it is geeky as hell. Like, you have to set up like DNS records. SPF, DKIM, DMARC. You don't know what that means. Me neither. It is also not important. I know what this means, but it is not important for you to know what this means. You just ask your AI to set up this for cold emailing. That's basically it. And then your domains will have the proper DNS records. That's pretty much it. Then, Google Mailbox sends 20 a day, and Outlook Mailbox sends 5 a day. In general, that's true. Yes. I'm buying my mailboxes from Scaled Mail, and this is what they recommend, and I just go with their recommendations because they're providing me the email addresses. Why would I not trust them with the actual settings that they give me? So very simple. As you see, like, just need 20 a day for Google mailboxes. And if you buy Outlook, it's 5 a day. I never buy Outlook anymore. Like, I just don't. Except I'm doing like an healthcare campaign, like where I'm targeting healthcare institutions, because for some reason they all use Outlook. I might buy Outlook. I usually still buy Google. So between the two of us, I would just buy Google. It's just like, it's cheaper, it works, it's all good. Yes. And then if you ever need, like if you're ever in the situation where you're like, hey John, I'm blasting 1,000 emails now. I want to have the 1,000 plus, right? I want to send out more. You just buy more domains and inboxes. That's exactly what you're going to do. You buy more domains and inboxes. Yes. You don't buy more inboxes on top of the 3 that you already have per domain. You buy a new domain with new inbox. You just add another one of these badges, right? 1 new domain, 3 mailboxes. That's how you do it. And you never go past the 20 a day. Just don't do it. New mailbox warms for 2 to 3 weeks before it sends 1 cold email. 2 weeks is fine. Yes, 2 weeks is fine. Warm up every single domain that you get, every single inbox that you have in your account for 2 weeks. Make sure that the warm-up pool that you're using is as high quality as possible. Very important, super underrated. Warm-up is the backbone of your infrastructure. And warm-up, by the way, in case you don't know, warming up an inbox means you have these fake inboxes, right? You have a bunch of these. Other people are also sending cold emails. Also, like all the other ones that are using the same sending platform as yours, like Instantly, Smartly, etc. We also send cold emails, right? And we also want to warm up our domains. So what we do is, with all the cold emailers around the globe, we have one pool where we're sending out emails to one another that look real. They're AI generated and they're randomized like across the globe, so that the traffic that these inboxes generate look real. They look non-spammy, right? And we respond to one another and then they respond back, etc. It's just like simulating real conversations. And you need to make sure that the people that you're conversing with in these warm-up pools don't be triggered. With the mainstream sequencing tools, you have gambling sites in the warm-up pool, pornography, you have, what else do you have? Betting and whatnot. Like, you have all of these different types of inboxes in there as well. Like, all of these companies are also doing cold email, which is why we switched over to Email Bison. And Email Bison doesn't take anyone, basically, in case you're curious. Like, they don't let anyone in, which is super nice, because I can be sure that my inboxes are not sending out any emails to some gambling site, right? Which is going to harm my reputation as well, because at some point they could backtrack. Why are these people contacting each other? It doesn't make any sense. So just to keep it clean, have a nice warm-up pool. And then once they're in warm-up, they forever stay in warm-up. It is warm-up, like as in I'm warming up something, but they stay warmed at all times. They need to stay in warm-up forever, basically. You'll never take any inbox out of the warm-up ever, ever, ever. No. Yes. And then that's just a rule that I implemented because I found it really useful. So say you have 100 inboxes, right? I'll always take out 25 of them and I just leave them in warm-up and they send no cold emails. I give them a separate tag so that I never use them for cold emails. And then when I'm seeing with the checks that I'm going to show you in a minute, there's a lot to come still. When I'm seeing with the diagnosis that some of the inboxes are starting to burn away, and I'm going to show you exactly what that means. Like they drop in response rates, they go up in bounce rates. So they're bouncing, they're sending emails, but the email doesn't connect, right? You actually see that with the sending platforms. Whenever that happens, I just want to be able to easily take out one of the 25 that I have in reserve, immediately swap them out, and then get a new domain and warm them up for 14 days. Because otherwise, whenever some domain burns away, I need to wait 14 days to replace that sending speed, that sending capacity, right? And that just sucks, especially for clients. They want this to just run without any problems. I always like to keep some in reserve. Yes. So, yes. So in that case, if you wanted to send out from 50, you would have to buy about 67 mailboxes just to have 25% of those in reserve. Because a replacement domain warms for 2 weeks before it swaps in, which would suck. We just covered that. That's awesome. Yes, so the list. A bad list burns good infrastructure. Who you email is a deliverability decision. It's extremely important, actually. It is super important because if you email the wrong people, they are all going to mark you as spam. So you need to make sure that you're emailing only the right people. That is super, super important. So I need you to score every company against your ICP before anyone gets an email. And if you don't know how that works, you can join our school community. I'll give you the plugins that I'm using in Claude so that Claude does this for you. You need to verify every address, load in only the ones that are marked as deliverable. We use Million Verifier for verification. You throw away all the catch-all addresses. Catch-all means you couldn't really verify whether they are real or not. Like you couldn't say that they are a good email or a bad email. It's just like in between. We can't verify them. Don't email them. Super low ROI. Because if you bounce on all of them, it's going to suck for your domain deliverability. That's going to be bad. So we're not going to do that. Yes. Then, obviously, we keep a permanent list of every address that ever bounced. So we have a database of people that we're never going to email ever again. That's very important. Hey friends, what's up? My name is Sean and I run LeadArc, a cold email lead generation agency. And in this video, I'm going to cover exactly how we build prospect lists for our B2B SaaS clients from scratch, from start to finish, so you can actually follow this and implement this for yourself too. Because I know this is a huge problem that we also have in our own school community, where we teach 80 people right now how to run cold email within their businesses. So I wanted to make a point and make a YouTube video out of this to show you people how I do this from start to finish, right? From end to end. And for that, I have a couple points prepared. I'm going to go through them while sharing my screen, and we're going to do that right now. So I start off any prospect list by basically defining who I need to reach out to. So usually when we have clients, they have their ICP criteria, they have them uploaded, right? They have some documentation on that, which we can give to our AI, and then the AI will basically make sense out of that for us. So this will be the main thing that we will have to look for so that we can actually build these lists properly. Now, if I talk about ICP, a lot of people just immediately have these avatars in their mind. Some people might not have anything in mind. If you don't know what ICP means, it's basically ideal client profile, right? It's like the ideal customer profile, the ideal target audience that you basically have. And a lot of people have like certain names given to these avatars. Like you might say, my typical customer is John. He's 37 years old. He drives a 911 and he likes to play golf. and he's into like sports equipment stuff, you could have that avatar, right? When I talk about ICP criteria, I mean specifically what kind of companies are we looking at, right? Like what do they have in common? And then at those companies, what kind of people are we looking for, right? So we have these two stages which are going to be super important for later on. So we have the companies, right? Let's just build a nice house. Boom. This is a company, right? C for company. Boom. This is your company. This is the first stage. And then the second stage is people at those companies. Boom. Yes. For ICP criteria, we first only look at companies. And this has a very practical reason. If you're using Apollo or LinkedIn is actually a very good example for this. Yeah, that's also like all of these are pretty nice examples, but most people that are going to watch this, they are very familiar with LinkedIn Sales Navigator by chance, right? You've sent maybe a couple direct messages to people, connection requests, etc. If you have been using LinkedIn, you'll see that you have both the company search, the account search, and then you have the people search, right? Most people go straight to the people search, which then results in a lot of different people that are not fit for your like criteria, right? And that's usually because filtering on a people level is super hard. And there's a very nice reason for it actually. Because this person, right, if they have been in the game for more than a couple of years, they have not only been at this specific company that you're looking for, but they have been at in maybe a couple others as well, right? And that history in those databases is messing up the accuracy. So company history of this person is messing up your email lists or your data accuracy. Because now if you go into LinkedIn and you search for, let's say you're looking for software companies, right? You might be looking for software companies, but this specific person might have been in a software company in a past life and is now just chilling in the woods, maybe retired, right? Maybe a crypto pump billionaire. You don't even know. You have no idea. So this is going to make it super hard for you because you'll go ahead and you'll search for head of sales at software companies that have worked at software companies for at least 3 years. He might be a fit for that, but the data might be outdated, right? Super bad, super annoying. This is the main reason why most, like, if you get cold emails and they're like super irrelevant and they're referencing stuff from your past life, that's exactly why. They are going for people search immediately. That's the main problem, right? So what we do is we do company search first only, right? So we will go ahead and then figure out what the software companies look like, right? How many employees? Boom, employees. Region, right? Maybe based on LTV or revenue that they currently generate. What else? News, right? Let's say they have a Series A funding. What else? Stuff like that, right? I don't want to make it too complicated, but stuff like that. That's going to be the thing that you're looking for. And as soon as you have those companies, you will then have. Let me do something real quick. Let me draw. Good idea. Draw. Boom. This is your spreadsheet. Look at this amazing spreadsheet, right? You'll have the spreadsheet, right? Boom. This is your spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet will only contain companies. Now, from these companies, let me go back into my note just to make sure. Yes. From these companies, we're going to pull the website URL now. That's the SOP. I'm literally looking at the SOP. We need to pull their website URLs. So next step is basically website URLs. Main reason being is we will go ahead and then get their SEO descriptions and we'll get their markdown text or their website, their content as markdown files, right? .md, markdown files. Markdown is basically like markdown is like a type of writing. So if you have like one hashtag, it's like heading 1, and then if you use like a dash, it would be a bullet point, right? It's basically very easy to read text for AI. That's what we're trying to get. It's like it has zero formatting other than this. It doesn't have any colors. It's just plain text, basically, right? So we'll get the content of their website and the SEO descriptions as markdown files. With those markdown files, we'll use something like GPT 5.6, not 7, 6, not so, Luna, right? We'll use that to put that data alongside the website URLs so that we can build a spreadsheet full of text, right? It's going to be filled with text. That's going to allow us to, one, have the general data like employees, region, LTV, Series A funding, news, hiring or not, etc. And then we'll have the website URLs, and then we will have their full SEO descriptions and the content as markdown files in this spreadsheet. And then we're going to take, I don't even know which AI we use. It might be Luna because it's still efficient, but I think we're using Sol for this. Or Sol is using like a bunch of sub-agents like Luna to then go through the spreadsheet and then compare the SEO description, the actual profiles, right? This is enough information to build a profile. Like, what are they actually selling? What is this business actually, right? Actually. Who is this, right? We can find this out just by looking at the SEO descriptions and the content as markdown files. And we will then compare it with the ICP criteria of our clients. Just to make sure that all the random car washes that had software somewhere on the website at some point are being excluded, because we're looking for software businesses in this specific case, right? So we're going to exclude them all. We're going to exclude all the bullshit, basically. That's why we're here and why we're first looking at all the companies, right? Super important. As soon as our AI with all the agents that it's launching, right, it's going to look at all the roles, etc. Like, and this works with prospect lists that are, I mean, just a couple, I think an hour ago or something, I launched like a prospect list with like 22,000 rows. Easy. This is like minutes of work, if not maybe half an hour. That's pretty much what it is, right? So we're gonna compare again the contents, the actual profiles of these different companies with the ICP criteria to see if there's a match. And whenever there's not a match, we'll exclude them. This will get us a super accurate, compare criteria versus actual businesses in the list. As soon as we have that, we're going to exclude non-fit companies. And then we'll have a super accurate list of companies. This is how this works. And now, taking this, let me do this, boom. Taking this super accurate list of companies, we will now, right? We will now take this and then look for people at those companies. How, right? How? How is this going to work? In here, you remember we have these different filters set up, right, for the company. In here, we'll simply look at the ICP criteria that we have from the documentation, right? And then those will say, wait, let's do this. Boom. Job title, years in role, maybe hiring or not, right? Is this person hiring? And all of the other stuff, right? This is super easy to find because now you can make sure that you're getting the list freshly, like fresh, scraped from these companies. How are you going to do that? You're going to use something like, I'm going to give you some tool recommendations, Prospero. This is what I use, right? This is what I use. Yes. You get them with Prospero. You can then, in Prospero, and this is where wheat separates from chaff. And this is not an offense, but like I had to use that saying, wheat. Is it wheat? Yes. Yeah, of course it's wheat. Chaff. I hope this is right. Let's actually find this out real quick. Wheat versus chaff. I'm basically English at this point. It's correct. My German ass doesn't know what's what. Wait. Contrast the valuable grain of the wheat plant with the dry, scaly, and used as protective husk, chaff, that surrounds it. So, this is basically the low quality stuff, right? Chaff. Also sounds low quality. So, you would just spend your credits to get their emails, to reveal, right? They say reveal their emails. This is like the more expensive route. This is why it's like, this is more expensive. This is more expensive. This gets you like, I think it's It's like 3 cents per valid email. Sometimes like 3 to 4 cents per valid email, right? And then you have the thing that we're doing, right? What we're doing is we have our internal email guesser. I just called it like that because I didn't have a better name. And what we do in here is basically we find these people with their job titles, etc., and then we get their full name, and we already have the website URL of that specific person. And with those two things, guess what we can do? We can do first name at website URL.com. And then we can do a bunch of variations of these. We can do first name dot last name at website, etc. Or only the first initial, right? At website URL, etc. We can now guess email addresses, and guessing email addresses is super cheap. It's super cheap because we only have to look up these two things. We don't even have to reveal their email, right? So that doesn't cost us a credit, which is super nice. And then we go ahead and we use Million Verifier to go ahead and verify all the different variants to then get the proper, million. I'm giving away the sauce. Isn't that wild? And we have a viewer. I'm famous, basically. I'm on TV. I'm on TV at this point. Yes, not Million Verified, but Million Verified. I'm literally giving away the sauce. So what we do is we take all of these different variations of full name at websiteurl.com, and then we figure out that we guess their email addresses, and then the valid ones we take and we put them into the email campaigns. And with this, at times, I have a lot of numbers in my mind right now, but I think we're getting on average like something like 0.8 cents per valid email, right? So it's basically 3 to 4 cents versus 0.8 cents per valid email, like actual valid email. And by the way, 3 to 4 cents, this is not valid. This hasn't been verified yet. This is like if you just pull it from Prospeo and then they say it's triple verified. That's what it is, which still is not fully valid. Like this is rarely valid. It's like 88%, 90%, maybe like 90% valid, right? So you're risking 10% bounce rate. Yes. Leon is here. Hi, friend. Boom. Yes, you're risking 10% bounce rate, which is horrible for your campaigns. But this is real. This is super real, right? So this is the situation. This is how we get the email addresses of these people. And basically, like all the invalid ones you remove. As soon as you have them removed, you'll basically have your ready list, right? Boom. You'll have your, that's a terrible arrow, clean list that you can email, which is also going to be 90% accurate, right? You can email these people now. Boom. Done. And this entire like algorithm where you first find the company and then you go through the steps of like figuring out what kind of companies these actually are, and then you compare them to the criteria that you actually have, exclude the non-fit ones, and then you find the correct people, and then you find their email addresses, and then exclude the ones that are actually not clean, right? They are not valid. That's how you get a clean and accurate prospect list that you can now email, right? This is the process. So, boom, offer, right? We have dealt with infrastructure. We're just going to make sure that we follow these steps, and then we should be fine. Boom, done. Offer. We need a clear result with low risk for a cold prospect. In other words, right, benefits using mechanism with payment terms and a risk reversal so a stranger has a hard time saying no to your offer. This is the offer, right? You need to nail this. You absolutely positively need to nail this. Like this is super important. And the offer is contingent of who you're going to email, right? So the list is super important. The copy will basically write itself as soon as you have the offer, but you want to make sure that your offer is specifically speaking to the people, for the people, about the people that you're going to email. If you do not do that, if you have a very, very, very vague offer and it's not like it's designed for everyone, you'll basically attract no one with that, right? It needs to be specifically purpose made for a specific type of business / person, a persona. Super important. I cannot overstate this. I'll probably say this like 10 times again. Like, this is super, super, super important. You could run a successful cold email campaign just with these two things. Literally, because you could just email everyone and the only people that will respond are the people that want this offer. Because it's specifically purpose made for them, right? You just waste a lot of time emailing people that are not relevant, but that you would still get results. If you were emailing everyone with an offer that is designed for everyone, you would literally get no one to respond because no one feels addressed, right? We want to address people, which is also super important. We don't want to address the people. We want to address a person. It's one person, right? And the best cold emails that I've ran over all of those, like tens of millions of cold emails so far, the best ones are talking to a specific person. Way back in the beginning, almost 3 years ago now, I was writing cold emails as if I was talking to an audience. And the reason for that is if you're in the weeds, and back then there was no AI, there was literally no AI. I think AI came out like I think a year after that. Might even be 1.5 years after that. Like, AI was a thing after that. If you're in the weeds and you're building these Excel sheets, and then you're like going through the prospects, and you have like 1,000, 2,000 people, and then back then like 2,000 people was like crazy. We can email 2,000 people, wild. Now we're emailing like 5,000 people a day per client, which is super wild. But back then it was a huge thing, right? And thinking about like 2,000 people is wild because you're like, oh my God, this is so many people. I'm talking to people. Like, this is an audience, right? And as soon as you go through the motion and you sign up yourself into talking to an audience, you will literally write email copy to an audience. Like, it's so close to saying, dear ladies and gentlemen, in your cold email, in the greeting, right? It's like this close to that. Most people aren't that far from using dear ladies and gentlemen. Literally, bro, I've seen emails. It's wild. It's not good. So this is why I'm saying this. This needs to be hyper specific for a singular person, considering what kind of pain points they have, right? Solves pain or has a benefit that has a very specific mechanism with payment terms and a risk reversal that's going to reverse the risk that the person that you're emailing to is carrying on his or her shoulders if they were to say okay to your offer. Or like, let's go, like accept your offer, right? Not the general risk that you perceive, the risk that they perceive. This is super important. Like, if you're in the process of like figuring out an offer that makes sense for your business, right? And even if you have product market fit, by the way, like, this is still important, because if you were only running referral based stuff or like content based lead gen, this is super relevant because that offer will not work in cold email. It will just not work. Promise, it will not work. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. You need to solve a very specific pain using a very believable, like a mechanism that makes you solving that pain believable, with payment terms that are reasonable and a risk reversal that's going to reverse the perceived risk of that person. And by the way, sometimes perceived risks are not actual risks, like in the real world. People walk through life with filters, right? Based on their filters between what their eye sees and their brain comprehends or interprets. Between that, there are layers of filters, right? And they have multiple filters lined up. And you need to make sure that according to their perception, after the light has passed through those filters, that this specific perceived risk is being reversed. And there's no way you'll be able to do this unless your offer is specifically made for one persona, right? Do you see how this would be like impossible if you were trying to solve everyone's pain point? It would be impossible. You would not be able to do it. If you had multiple ICPs and multiple features and multiple pain points that you had to solve, right? With multiple perceived risks, I would literally, if I were to run your campaign, I would start one campaign per pain point, per mechanism, per ICP. We have a bunch of campaigns and a bunch of lead magnets as well to get these people to respond, which is why, still, this is super important. A stranger has no reason to believe you, and the only way to make them believe you is with the offer, because it's the only context that they will have when they receive your cold email. It's the only thing that they will see. Yes, you can have a brand. You can have a personal brand. They could Google your name. Yes, if they were to Google your domain, like the sending domain, and it would forward to your main domain, yes, also then they would be able to like get some more context. But we're talking about like millisecond decisions. Someone will read the email, maybe just skim over it, and if there's nothing, absolutely nothing that might be relevant to them, that might speak to them like a specific pain that they're having right now, if that doesn't happen, they will just archive your email. And you have archived emails today, probably in the dozens, right? So this goes for basically every human being on planet Earth. If it's not speaking to them directly, they will not feel addressed. And the best way to call someone out, even if you're in the busiest of subways in New York City, right? The best way to call out your husband, your spouse, right, is literally by their name. You'll not do it by shouting a lot, like because everyone is shouting a lot, like because New York is a simulation, like it's just way too chaotic. But this is super important, which is why I've spent so much time on this specific point. We need to make sure that this is like a bang. Hey friends, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how a one-sentence email outreach strategy works. And for that, I'm going to share my screen because I've been running this for a lot of clients over a lot of emails, and it has been getting crazy nice results. For example, for AirPay Dental, we've been running the strategy as well, and we've been booking 20 meetings plus per month over the last 2 years, which is super nice. And then for another SaaS client, which I can't expose right now, it's a B2B SaaS fleet management software. And for them, we've been getting 230 demos booked in the time span of 11 months. And we brought their ARR from 30 million to 40 million just through that. And with that said, this stuff works and I really like it because it's super short, it keeps up your deliverability, and it's just fun to write because everyone else is stressing about emails and most people are just writing walls of text. So let's get straight into this. This is pretty cool. I'm pretty hyped. So in general, there are like two types of one-sentence emails that I use. And type one is building signal-based lists, and the other one is direct response, right? So what does that mean? Type one, this almost looks like diabetes type 1 and type 2, but type 1, building signal-based lists. The idea is to build a list of people that have a certain intent right now as we speak, right? How would that look? You could ask, hey, first name, are you currently struggling to book meetings? Hey, first name, are you currently using Klaviyo for email marketing? Hey, first name, are you currently using Salesforce, right? You can ask these different questions, especially in the last case. If you have a Salesforce plugin or an HubSpot plugin, right, which you want to sell to people that use HubSpot, you could either try to find out like who uses HubSpot, who's the user base, who follows HubSpot on LinkedIn, etc. You could do that, or you could just email all the businesses that you can perceive, and you can ask them, hey, are you currently using HubSpot? And if you have, say, software companies that use HubSpot, you could email all software companies with that email. Done. That's literally how that works, because that will give you a list of people which you can then retarget or immediately respond back to with them with an offer, right? You can respond back to them with a new offer that is going to give them something that's relevant to their intent. Might also be, hey, first name, are you currently hiring? Right? If you're too lazy to figure out if they're hiring right now, you can just ask that on scale, send 10,000 emails a day, right? Just to figure that out. And the thing is, with email scripts like that are this short, running high volume campaigns is going to get so much easier because you can write a bunch of one sentence emails, 20, 30 scripts at a time and send them out to everyone across hundreds, thousands of inboxes that you're using, sending out 20 a day each, right? You could just push that out there and you could build huge signal-based lists. And the cool thing about that is buying signal data from these data providers is super expensive and not accurate. It's literally inaccurate and expensive. It's worst of both worlds. It's terrible, right? With this is super cheap and super accurate. So that's pretty cool. So I like this type a lot. It helped me a lot. It's quite nice, right? The second type of one sentence email is just direct response, right? So the goal is getting a direct response, meaning you put the whole offer in the initial question. So you could say, hey, first now, are you guys interested in offer/service where you have these payment terms for benefit I bring, right? So this is the offer, payment terms, benefit. An example for that could be what we're doing right now, which is, hey, first name, are you guys interested in lead generation where you only pay for the qualified meetings I book you? This is literally what we offer. You could also have, I don't know, you could have the payment terms in there as well. So you could say we do like performance-based stuff. So performance-based lead generation, right? You could do that where you only pay for the qualified meetings I bring you. You could also do cold email lead generation because that's specifically what we do, where you only pay for the qualified meetings I book you. Stuff like that, right? Running this, super duper useful. So let's write a couple scripts each, right? Let's just remove this because I had Claude generate this for me based on a couple notes that I made, but that's fine. So let's write a couple for the intent-based ones. So we had, hey, first name, are you currently using HubSpot, right? Or, hey, first name, are you currently using Klaviyo for email marketing? You could even leave that out, right? You could make it very short. This is actually from the legend Christian Bonnier. I really appreciate this email. I've been watching him when I started out and I learned a ton, and the stuff that I learned from him I still use. So huge shout out, great guy. So with that said, you could make permutations of this till tomorrow. Like there's no stopping you for these types of emails. Let's actually go over this because this is pretty interesting. So we have, hey, first name, are you guys interested in performance-based Google Ads where I bring you where you only pay per qualified appointment I bring your agents. I book for your agents. Say you're targeting real estate agents, right? Real estate agencies, agency owners rather, agency owners. So that could be one campaign, right? Another campaign, let's come up with something. Let's do e-commerce email marketing. Hey, first name, are you guys interested in our email flow in wait, let me think for a second. I'm currently using a client as an example as well. That might be pretty cool. I could use that email in their campaigns as well. So they're offering email flows for different scenarios where you have like checkout abandoned checkout, you have winbacks, you have never bought, you have stuff like that. Interested in a never bought email flow for you could permeate slightly. Are you guys interested in a never bought email marketing flow? You'd only pay one time for the flow itself, no retainers. Done. You could do this, right? That's a nice permeation of this. What else could we do? Let me find a couple offers. This was our clients, AirPay in this case. So this is dental insurance verification software. Boom. Hey, first name, are you interested in a software that automatically verifies eligibility overnight? You'd only pay a couple. I guess this is two sentences now, so I'm kind of ruining it for myself. Let me write this and then we write another one trying to hit a one sentence. You'll only pay a couple $100 per location. It's just an example. So, hey, first name, are you interested in us automatically verifying? This is completely horrible. Verifying. Let me think about this. We could say, are you guys interested in automated insurance verification where you only pay a couple $100 for the software we built? That's like the if you just literally fill in the blanks. But if we did this, let me think. So, hey, first name, are you interested? Are you guys interested in a software that automatically verifies your eligibility overnight for a couple $100 a month? That works. Bam, done. Yes. So stuff like that works extremely well. But with that said, there are very these two things are very different in the way you handle the responses. So in here, you would just get a yes, and then you would just immediately send over, I don't know. Let's actually go through that. Let's go through that. That's actually pretty important. Like, how do you actually? That is horrible. That was a horrible line. Did you see that? Boom. So, how do you handle the responses? So, in this case, let me actually draw this, right? You would be sitting here, you get, oh, this is awesome. You get a response, right? And the response would say, yes. This will lead you to sending the send the offer. And the offer might look something like this. Send the offer, boom. I'll get you benefit using mechanism. You only payment terms. Yeah, that could be the offer. So you send the offer over, done. And then, so this, after that, you ask for a meeting. Ask for meeting if interesting, right? You could do this. You could combine this as well with a, wait, let's actually treat this as one thing. So send the offer means I'll get you benefit using mechanism. You only pay, you only have these payment terms. Here's a video explaining how it works. And then worth a quick chat on the phone. You could do this immediately after you get the yes, right? This is the strategy for this. This is how you handle these responses. And you could automate this pretty well. You could either have a subsequence or a reply follow-up campaign where you basically you run this campaign, and for all the yeses that you get, they get forwarded over to this campaign where you send the offer with you send the offer with the actual offer, a video explainer, and this CTA. That's pretty much how you handle this one. Pretty simple shit. That works, right? For this one, we'll basically be having something like this. Hey, first name, are you guys interested in performance-based Google Ads where you only pay per qualified appointment I book for your agents, right? If they say yes, you will then go ahead, try to call them up, right? You could also do this over here. And then you're gonna send them a video or something of that sort that would explain to them clearly how this offer works, and then have the CTA again. I just realized you would handle them the exact same way. I thought it was way more different when I just started out. I just realized you will handle them the exact same way. Of course, that's also what we've been doing, so that's pretty cool. Yes. So you get a yes. You explain the offer more on a small Loom video, right? You do that, and then you get them on the phone with a CTA. And you try to get them on the phone in general by using, that's what we use popcorn phone numbers as an eSIM on iPhones. Why? You can blue message, iMessage them, and then you can double dial because it will then show you as maybe your first name. How does this work, you're asking? Good question. You blue message them saying it's your first name. You message them exactly this, right? Exactly this. Because then if you call them up, their iPhone will tell them, well, maybe this is John, Leon, whatever, right? That's pretty cool. So you do this, and then you go ahead and you send this email out. Like, wait. There's an order to this. So you get the lead. Let's actually work in here because we just realized that both of these are the same thing. Let's do this. Boom. Okay. So you get the lead, meaning someone says yes. You send the offer. You explain the offer in a video. Optimally, it's personalized, right? So optimally, let me do an arrow. So yes, optimally personalized, starting on their website, embedding via Loom GIF, right? This is what you're going to do. You're going to embed it on the email itself. And then you say, worth a quick chat on the phone, right? And then you immediately go ahead. I hate this shit. Boom, boom. Okay. You go ahead, you blue message them first, and then you double dial. right? This is how you're going to handle these responses. And then for follow-ups, just follow up until they give you a declarative yes or no. And you can do, like, this sounds super annoying, but you can do this in a very non-annoying way. And the way I usually do it is literally, I take this email, right? And this is also one thing that I learned from Christian Bonnier. Shout out to him again. So the first response is this. The second response is literally, like, I mean, you would have the hi first name, right? Hey first name. And then this is how your email looks. So this is how your email looks, actually, right? So you take this, boom, you take this. This was your first follow-up. For the second one, you remove this. Then, for the next one, you basically try to reduce this to fewer words. So you have this, but in less, right? I'll get, you could say, wait, let's keep the offer. Here's, did you get a chance to view the video? And then video, do this. You could remove this, right? And then you can just say this. You just remove things, and then this is your follow-up cadence. And as soon as you reach this, you could arguably put them back into, you have two options. So, sending. We're repeating a couple of things, but I think these are very important. Split up the email service providers into different campaigns so that you can actually analyze which of these works best, because then you can just remove all the other ones from your prospect list and then only email the ones that work well. We're currently doing this for this client. 1 second. Okay, boom. So we're doing it for AirPay right now. And I've noticed AirPay's campaigns perform horrible on Outlook inboxes. So we're only going to email Gmail going forward. And the response rates are nuts, once again. So if you look at last 60 days, sent out 113,000 emails, 600 responses, 121 leads. Didn't look like that before. We had like 0.6% response rates. So we just doubled the results, which is quite nice. Yes, we would have more volume if we added the Outlook ones as well, but that would also hurt our deliverability because we would be bouncing, which is not ideal. So we turn off open rate tracking, no unsubscribe links. By the way, also not these like fancy, I hate to see them, like reply stop or reply banana so we stop sending you emails. Please don't do it. The best emails that you can send are the ones that feel like you just took a couple seconds out of your day because you spontaneously saw someone on LinkedIn and you wrote them a personalized email by hand. That's the best kind of email. You're talking to a single person, not talking to an audience. Do not use unsubscribe link. This is not email marketing for e-commerce brands. Like, this is not what it is. This is a cold email. This is a one-on-one interaction. It is not one-to-many. Yes, it feels like one-to-many if you have 20,000 people in your prospect list, but it is one-to-one. It is not one-to-many. One-to-one. So write one-to-one emails. You would never use this if you emailed me personally. Never. So don't do it. So this, honestly, give every mailbox a real person's name and photo. I don't like fervently believe this. I think it's a pretty good thing to do because if, for example, I use my name, my socials will come up. And I like that. I want people to see my social media accounts. I want people to see my content. I want people to read about me, right? I want people I want cold email to be a little more, like, little easier for me. They don't know me. They don't have a profile picture there, mostly because, like, most email clients, they don't even show email, like, profile pictures in email. So 75% of people won't see my face anyway. At least when they Google my name, I'll pop up, which is quite nice, right? So if you want to run cold email and you want to do it properly, you should also have content. I'm just giving that to you as a recommendation, right? So send inside business hours, that's pretty much a no-brainer. It doesn't make any sense to send at midnight. That really doesn't make any sense. And that's the thing that I really like to do. I really like this board. It picked up on all the nuances over all the chats that I had with Claude. So whenever you write out new email scripts and you want to send them out, before you launch the campaign, just have Claude or the emails tool that you're using send you test emails to your main inbox, like your normal email address, right? As if someone would cold email you. And then take your phone and then click on the email and just glance at it for a second. If you don't feel like reading it at all, rewrite the email. You can just like respond, write up a draft, right? You write up a couple drafts to all the different variants that you've written, and then you tell Claude, hey, I rewrote the emails that you sent me as test emails. I just put them in draft. Can you update all of them, please? My best performing scripts came to life like that. Like this is the process. It just makes a lot of sense. If you don't want to read your email, strangers won't read it at all. Like it will straight go to archives. And I know it because I run cold emails, I get cold emails, I archive most of them. Yes. Sending days, actually this is preference. It's just preference. If you know that they are running their business on the weekends as well, email them on the weekends as well. If you know there's like a corporate environment and they only work from 9 to 5 and you will not reach anyone after 5 p.m., especially on a Friday, do not email them at that time. It doesn't make any sense. You can just email later. Done. Not saying that this is like gonna change your campaigns. Like for a long time, I've been running on Saturdays as well. Didn't really make too much of a difference. I'll recycle all of these prospects anyway at some point. But send from Monday to Friday. I send from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., I believe. Especially if I'm emailing founders as well, because they're always on their phone. So that works, yes. Yes. And then for your total capacity, right? Let's say you have the setup that we've mentioned above, where you have 50 different email inboxes. You will be able to send out 1,000 emails a day. If you have 5 campaigns, obviously, right? Where are we? Obviously, you are going to set it up in a way. I've lost track. Where is it? Obviously, if you have 50 email inboxes, you have 1,000 emails a day that you can send, and you have 4 campaigns, make sure that each of the campaigns sends 250. Just spread it out evenly. Just like this is basics, but we're talking about cold email automation 101. So you need to get the basics right. And by the way, all the professionals in cold emailing do the basics right at scale. They don't do fancy shit. Like, let me tell you, like straight up, clay enrichments, this, like, no. If they wanted to enrich something, they would just enrich it. They would not make a huge deal out of it. They would not talk about clay all day long. And the only reason why they would talk about clay all day long is because they have a deal with clay. Just saying, right? So, with that said, just make this basic stuff sure. Like, just make sure that this actually works. So, pause a campaign before you edit it, then start it again. This is actually a crux with Email Bison. That's why I put it there. Email Bison just requires you to pause the campaign before you actually edit anything about it. I don't think this is too relevant right now, but I guess I covered it because I didn't really see that before I recorded the video. So, it's all good. What is this? Pace a campaign so it finishes when you want it to. Yes, that's an optional thing as well. So I like to run them at equal speed so I can see which campaign performs best right now. Even if they have different sizes in prospect list loaded up. Let's say you have 4 campaigns. One list has 10,000 people in it, the other one 100,000, the other one 2,000, right? I'll still send out all the emails equally distributed on all of them so I can quickly see which of these campaigns deserves more attention in case I have varying prospect list sizes. If you know that all of these are going to work well because you've already tested all of that, pace it so that they end all on the same date, because then you can just like a couple days before load them up again. Yes, depending on preference, obviously. But now, that's basically like all the basics around sending, etc. To keep this system running successfully, you'll need this. I call it the daily loop, and I've implemented that in Claude as well. And that's essentially how I keep track of all of my campaigns, especially across all the clients, right? So every single day, Claude goes into my Email Bison account. For you, it might be instantly, right? And it asks 13 questions. And they're divided into 3 different buckets. So we have funnel-related questions, growth levers, and just infrastructure / mailboxes in general. So, for the funnel, it goes through the account and it asks, are we sending? If so, good. Are we landing in the inbox? Good. Are we getting replies? Good. Are we booking meetings? Good. Can we do more? Yes? Awesome. How can we do more? Can we refill the lists, the campaigns, right? Can we send more per day because we haven't fully utilized the 20 emails a day that we can send per inbox, right? Can we add better copy? Do we have winners already, right? Can we write up new winners based on them? Can we deactivate the losers? Can we buy more inboxes right now? Does it make sense to buy more inboxes? Are we already maxing out these before we buy new inboxes? Very simple stuff. And as soon as this is done, it will then go ahead and check every single mailbox. Is the warm-up on? Is it sending cold emails? Is it bouncing? Is it at full speed? Right? And depending on all of these questions, it gives me all the decisions that I have to make. Say we have the possibility to add more winning scripts, right? If that's true, it's going to tell me, hey, I have drafted up these new scripts. Is this good? Can I get a decision from you? And it just gives me decisions. I don't need to diagnose myself. It does the diagnosis itself. And it just gives me the decisions. And then it goes back to execution mode. So I don't have to touch anything. And yes, you can get this system in our school community. First link in the description. It is pretty cool. This takes away 95% of the work. Super nice. So this is how I do it. Yeah, this is how I do it. Don't really need to cover these because I essentially covered all of that and more with what I just said. This is super cool. I really like this. Yes. And then replies. So this is for appointment setting. We're going through the entire thing, right? So we had targeting and copy. Now we have replies, appointment setting, etc. So boom. Yes. A couple basics. I'll skip a couple of them because they are not that important. AI just did AI stuff in here. So a couple important things. If you're getting responses, that's a good sign. Responses are a good sign. Why? They tell you you're landing in their primary inbox. If you're getting out of office messages, that's a good sign because you're most likely landing in the primary inbox. That's a good thing. If you're getting responses but no positive responses, that's a bad thing. That means your offer sucks. Good. You can change the offer now. If you're getting positive responses at a decent rate, and decent is whatever works well for you, by the way. If that is true, awesome. Keep doing more. And to understand whether you're actually landing in spam or not, in terms of response rate, the thing that I just mentioned before, when does the response rate tell you that you're landing in the primary? If it's around 1%. If you get a 1% response rate with out of office messages, etc., you're probably landing in the primary inbox. With Outlook inbox, for example, a lot of times I'm getting 0.6%, 0.8% response rates. I guess that's solid for Outlook. But in general, that's the ballpark figure that I can give you. Anything after that is just about your profitability. So if it's profitable for you, you keep running the campaign. If it's not, you don't run the campaign, you change stuff, right? You change stuff. Now, to make sure that you actually get booked meetings out of this, there are a couple of things. Number one, answer within 5 minutes. Speed to lead is just important. I don't know what to tell you about this. You just need to respond extremely quickly. If you take hours, it's bad. If you take days, it's even worse. If it takes a week, bro, the moment you respond, it's going to get received as a new cold email because they've completely forgotten completely about you. Even after an hour, it's terrible, right? Do it within minutes. We've tested this ourselves. The numbers are exactly like Harvard studies say it, etc. If you don't know about this, just Google speed to lead Harvard study, read through that study. We've had the exact same thing. We've tested this. We have an internal platform, which, by the way, all the people in the school community also get access to the internal platform, where we analyzed our booking rates over the time that it took to respond back to the leads. And it looks exactly like in the Harvard studies. So check out the Harvard studies because that's exactly what we have on our Outbound OS software as well. I think now it's called Lead Arc because we've changed the name of our agency. But yeah, anyway, that's that. Answer leads quickly, ASAP. And in general, as soon as you get a response and you want to have booked meetings, right? You don't just want positive responses. You want people on meetings. You need to follow up, and you need to follow up fast with speed to lead, personalized, right? A lot, like frequently. And then when they respond, you want to be super available. Like you want to always make yourself available in some way, shape, or form without losing frame. Very important. Super important. This is arguably the hardest part about cold email. Arguably. Offers is probably the hardest because most people's offers sucks. And then after you get a proper offer, this is probably the next hardest part. Is a proper sales motion that turns outbound leads into actual booked meetings. Super hard. Yes. But with that said, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. Like we have this end screen right now, all the numbers in one place, so you can actually screenshot this. This is how we're running this, and this is how we're booking crazy nice meetings with companies like Airbus, Porsche, BMW, Toyota, Lockheed Martin even, right? Deloitte. This stuff just works, which is super cool. And if you want to copy our exact systems, first link in the description, school, sign up, free trial. You have direct access to me. You have direct access to my co-founder, which is running all of this stuff, where he's booking the meetings, right? Very hard stuff. He does it very well. And he set up all the systems for that as well. You get access to him as well. We have live calls. I answer every single Q&A, like all of your questions. You can just post them in there, like other members are doing right now as we speak, right? Have a couple messages that I have to go through. But I will respond back to them with personalized videos explaining away their problems. Yes. So with that said, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. I'll handle them like I'm handling them in the sales calls. So you've tried outbound, right? So what have you tried, right? Have you actually like quantified what you actually did? Because this objection presumes that there is a universe where outbound just doesn't work. But that is not true. Right? There are people probably in your space which you've never heard of that make outbound work. And by the way, how could it be that you never heard of them, right? That's the beauty of outbound. It's a one-on-one conversation with your customer, meaning no one else in the market knows about you. Very funny. It's super wild. Actually, there's a very nice story in one of Alex Hormozi's books where he's talking about some other gym provider. I don't know what company it was. It was his direct competitor. And there was a kid that ran their outbound campaign and then wanted to work for Alex Hormozi. He came over to Alex Hormozi and literally told him, yeah, we have this like huge competitor. I don't remember what it was. I think it was in the gym space. We have this huge, like I was working at this huge competitor. They're doing 20x the revenue that you're doing right now. And Mozi was like, who's this? I've never heard of them. Which then he then realized, damn, I never heard of them because I never saw their ads. I never saw their content. They were just blasting outbound. And then in terms of blasting, right? What have you actually tried so far? Because making this work, right? Making outbound work would be something that's worthwhile, right? It would be worthwhile. And we all know all good things take their time. Or whatever else saying is there for that, right? Like all good things take time. Everything that's worthwhile needs probably a while, right? And there's a reason why this is in general valuable. Because if you get it to work, you have a very reliable system, which is super cheap, and your competitors know nothing about you. So again, what have you actually tried? And if you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, we've sent a couple hundred DMs, or we made a couple thousand cold calls, or we sent out a couple thousand emails, that is not trying. We're sending out a couple thousand emails every morning for a client. That is the norm. That's where the bar is, right? So if you haven't passed that bar, you've never actually tried this. Which then again, like we need to change how we perceive the world, because there's this reality, right? There's this reality which just exists, like this wall, right? It's real. And then there's your perception of what that wall is. And it really doesn't matter how you perceive the wall. It exists. There is a world where outbound works, and it doesn't matter whether you've tried outbound or not, because apparently you didn't make it work. And the only thing that counts in the real world is whether you made it work or not. So just saying we've tried outbound doesn't really move the needle for you, because you're not getting where you want to go. Like, you want to make this work. Obviously, you want to do something, right? So again, what have I tried? And did I do enough? Did I do so much that it would be unreasonable that it didn't work, right? And if you didn't do these things, then that might have a couple of reasons. And irregardless of those reasons, whether they might be valid or not, at the end of the day, there's a result, and that is you are not utilizing outbound at all. And if outbound is valuable, right, it means that it's scarce, meaning very few companies have made it happen because it's hard. Hard things are valuable because they are scarce, because very few companies have made that thing happen. So obviously you won't be sitting there and have a very straightforward path to the point where you have like a perfect GTM motion or whatever bullshit they want to call it, right? I hate that word. Like, I hate the abbreviation of GTM. It doesn't mean anything. What do you mean go to market? Doesn't mean anything. You're basically trying to ram cold emails to some inboxes. That's essentially what you want to do, right? You haven't tried shit. Actually, like, you haven't tried anything. If you look at Airpay, for example, we haven't been able to get proper lead flow up until month 8. This shit takes time. And now, in the last 60 days, we got 126 opportunities through fucking cold email.
40,000. Like,
boom, I actually have the minute over here. Like, this is the actual screenshot. 113,000 emails sent, right, in the last 60 days to 56,000 people. 1.13% response rate, which is perfectly fine, right? 20% positive response rate, because the offer also evolved over time. And then there's another thing. We actually have a sales call tomorrow with someone. I'll actually send you that video. We have a sales call with someone tomorrow, and I heard from Leon, my co-founder, who had a phone call with him, that he has tried outbound, and for some reason, inbound leads works. Like, getting leads through content, referrals, etc., that works perfectly fine. They are closing every single one of them. All the meetings that he's booking via outbound don't work. And Leon let me know about that. And I immediately texted him while I was listening to his audio note about the phone call. He's trying to sell a warm traffic offer to complete strangers. Warm traffic meaning these people already know you, like from content, etc. Like, I'm making content right now. I could give you a warm traffic offer because you already know me to some degree, right? If you're a subscriber, you know me, you probably know, like, and trust me, right? I could give you a warm traffic offer, which is not that risk-free. But now we're talking to strangers and you're trying to give them compliance as a service. What does that mean? It doesn't mean shit to strangers. That's the problem. That is literally your issue. So if you've tried outbound and it didn't work, it's literally because you didn't want to make it work. You didn't work on it enough. And no, this has nothing to do with unhealthy or toxic relationship to work. It's literally you didn't make it work. That's your issue. You didn't just make it, you just didn't make it work because it was hard. Surprise. That's the issue. It takes time because it is valuable, and it being valuable means that it's probably scarce and that very few companies thereby have made this thing happen. Surprise. So, we've already tried outbound is the most asinine statement that you could make to disabilitate yourself in the things that you're doing, because you're just crossing things off the list without even ever having given it a shot, like a proper shot. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Obviously, like, all of these objections, and that's just like human nature. I get that. I am flawed as well, right? Obviously. This is just human nature. But all of, I assume, I don't know what the second objection is going to be, by the way. I have no idea. But I assume it's something that's somewhat illogical. Maybe we'll find a couple ones that are perfectly logical, right? But this is to a degree very illogical. Because if you would have actually tried, you would have made it work. So this doesn't make any sense. We've already tried outbound. Well, you didn't make it work, did you? And to go more into the topic, like how to make this work, watch this video. I go over everything in 22 minutes. I go over all the scripts that we used that were the winning scripts, how we got the prospect lists, what challenges they had, etc. I go through the entire thing. Also the real responses with the responses from their reps to book them on a meeting and then close them. Like everything is in here. Watch this. Watch this, right? Watch it all. Bam.